Nathan Cole had everything people envied: a luxury apartment in downtown Chicago, a six-figure salary before the age of 30, tailored suits, expensive watches, reservations at restaurants people waited months to enter. But every night, he ate dinner alone, and every morning he woke up feeling strangely empty. The loneliness wasn't obvious at first. His co-workers called him successful. His family bragged about him to relatives. Women flirted with him constantly. Yet somehow, the more perfect his life looked online, the quieter his apartment felt when the lights went out. Nathan stopped believing in real love years ago. To him, relationships were temporary arrangements. People stayed while things were exciting, then disappeared the moment life became inconvenient. That belief stayed with him until the afternoon he met Riley Brooks. And Riley Brooks was nothing like anyone he had ever known. Their first meeting happened because of a car accident. Nathan had just left a stressful investor meeting when another driver suddenly swerved into his lane. He slammed the brakes, clipped the curb, and ended up with a flat tire in the middle of a rainy street. Already furious, he stepped outside while rain soaked through his designer coat. "Perfect," he muttered. Then he heard laughter behind him. Not mocking laughter, warm laughter. He turned and saw a woman riding a battered motorcycle toward him. She wore ripped jeans, muddy boots, fingerless gloves, and a black hoodie under an oversized leather jacket. Her dark curls were stuffed under a helmet, and grease stained one side of her sleeve. She parked beside him and lifted the visor. "You look like a lost millionaire," she said. Nathan stared at her. "Excuse me? You heard me." She got off the bike and crouched beside the tire. "You know how to change this?" "Of course," Nathan lied. Riley smirked immediately. "No, you don't." Before he could answer, she grabbed tools from her motorcycle storage box and started working on the tire herself. Rain poured harder. Nathan awkwardly stood there holding an umbrella over her. "You don't have to do this," he said. "Probably not," she replied. "But you looked like you were 2 seconds away from filing a lawsuit against the weather." For the first time in weeks, Nathan laughed. An actual laugh. Not the polite business kind. Not the fake social kind. A real one. 20 minutes later, the tire was fixed. Nathan reached for his wallet. "How much do I owe you?" Riley looked offended. Then she stood up, wiped grease on her jeans and said, "Buy coffee for someone who looks sad someday." Before he could respond, she drove away into the rain. But Nathan couldn't stop thinking about her. Not because she was beautiful, though she was. Not because she flirted with him, but because she didn't. But because she treated him like a normal human being instead of a status symbol. 3 weeks later, he saw her again. This time at a small neighborhood basketball court. Nathan had taken a shortcut home when he heard kids cheering nearby. Curious, he walked toward the noise and froze. Riley was in the middle of the court wearing sweatpants and an old hoodie, absolutely destroying a group of teenage boys in basketball. "Come on!" she shouted after making another shot. "You all said you had energy." The kids groaned dramatically. Then one spotted Nathan standing nearby. "Coach Riley!" the boy yelled. "Your boyfriend is here." Nathan nearly choked. Riley turned, saw him, and burst out laughing. "Oh no," she said. "The rich guy survives." That was the beginning. Nathan started visiting the court after work. At first, he told himself it was accidental. Then he started bringing snacks for the kids. Then helping with repairs around the community center. Then staying long after everyone left just to talk to Riley. She was unlike anyone in his world. She hated fancy restaurants but loved street tacos. She wore sneakers with holes in them but donated half her paycheck to struggling families. She made fun of his expensive watches. She called him Wall Street Batman, and somehow she made him feel alive again. One night, while walking through the city together, Nathan finally asked the question that had been bothering him for weeks. "Why are you always helping people?" Riley shrugged casually. "Because I know what it feels like when nobody helps you." The answer hit him harder than expected. Little by little, she told him pieces of her story. Her father abandoned the family when she was 8. Her mother worked 3 jobs before getting sick. Riley dropped out of college to support her younger brother. She repaired motorcycles during the day and coached kids for free in the evenings. Nathan Rhea. Lies something painful then. She had far less than he did, but she gave more than anyone he had ever met. Months passed. For the first time in years, Nathan stopped obsessing over work. He stopped missing family dinners. He started calling his mother more often. He started noticing homeless people on streets instead of walking past them. Riley changed him without ever trying to, but Nathan still kept one part of himself hidden. Fear. Fear that someone like Riley would eventually leave too. That fear exploded one winter evening. Nathan had planned an expensive rooftop dinner for Riley's birthday. Everything was perfect, but she never arrived. Hours passed. No calls, no texts. Panic twisted in his chest. Finally, around midnight, Nathan found her at a hospital downtown. She sat in the waiting room wearing stained clothes, exhausted eyes, and trembling hands. Nathan rushed toward her. "Riley, what happened?" She looked up slowly. "One of my kids from the community center," she whispered. "His mom collapsed at work. He had nobody." Nathan noticed the birthday cake sitting untouched beside her. "You stayed here all night?" He was scared. Nathan stared at her silently. She had skipped her own birthday, not for attention, not for praise, but because a frightened child needed someone beside him. And suddenly Nathan understood something that years of success had never taught him. Love wasn't expensive gifts. It wasn't perfect photos. It wasn't grand speeches. Love was showing up. Love was sacrifice. Love was sitting in uncomfortable hospital chairs for people who needed you. Riley looked down sadly. "I'm sorry I ruined tonight." Nathan felt his throat tighten. Then he quietly sat beside her and took her hand. "No," he said softly. "You just showed me what love actually looks like." For the first time in his life, Nathan realized love wasn't about finding someone perfect. It was about finding someone whose heart made you want to become better too. And the tomboy who walked into his life wearing muddy boots and sarcasm had somehow done exactly that. Nathan didn't sleep that night. He sat in his apartment long after Riley finally left the hospital, replaying everything in his mind. The way she held that child's hand like it was the only thing that mattered in the world. The way she forgot her own birthday without a second on thought. The way she looked at him afterward, like she had done nothing special. But for Nathan, it had changed everything. The next morning, he did something he had never done before. He didn't go to work. Instead, he went straight to the community center. The building was old, paint peeling off the walls, basketball court half-cracked, storage room barely holding together. Kids were already outside playing, shouting, laughing like the world wasn't heavy. And there she was, Riley Brooks. Same hoodie, same tired eyes, same stubborn energy that made her look like she could carry the whole world if she had to. She was fixing a broken hoop with a wrench in one hand and holding a juice box in the other. When she saw Nathan, she didn't look surprised, just tired. "You didn't come to work," she said. Nathan shook his head. "I had somewhere more important to be." Riley raised an eyebrow. "Since when do CEOs have more important places than boardrooms?" He looked around, at the kids, at the broken walls, at her. "This place matters," he said simply. For a moment, Riley didn't respond. She just studied him like she was trying to figure out if he meant it. Then she went back to fixing the hoop. "Careful," she said. "That sounds like the start of a personality change." Nathan stepped closer. "Maybe it is." That made her pause again. But she didn't look at him this time, and that small silence between them felt heavier than any conversation they had ever had. Over the next few weeks, Nathan started showing up more often. At first, he tried to help quietly, donating supplies, fixing broken equipment, paying for repairs without telling anyone. But Riley noticed everything. She always noticed everything. One afternoon, she caught him talking to a contractor about renovating the entire center. When the contractor left, she crossed her arms. "You did that, didn't you?" Nathan didn't deny it. "It needed work. It doesn't need your money to survive," she said sharply. He frowned. "Then what does it need?" Riley stepped closer. "People who don't disappear when things get inconvenient." That hit harder than he expected. Because for the first time, he realized what she was really afraid of. Not poverty, not struggle, but abandonment. That night, Riley didn't show up to basketball practice. Nathan waited, and waited. Kids keep. T asking where she was. He didn't have an answer, so he went looking. He found her at a motorcycle garage on the edge of town, sitting on the floor beside a broken bike, staring at it like it had personally betrayed her. Her hands were shaking. That was new. Riley never shook. Nathan stepped inside carefully. "Hey!" She didn't look up. My brother called, she said quietly. Nathan froze. She continued, voice tighter now. He said he doesn't need me anymore. Got a new job, new life. Told me to stop sending money. Silence filled the garage. Only the ticking sound of cooling metal around them. Riley laughed once, but it wasn't real. I work 3 jobs so he could have options, she said, and now he doesn't even want me in his life. Nathan sat down beside her. For once, he didn't try to fix it. He just stayed. That doesn't erase what you did for him, he said softly. Riley finally looked at him. Her eyes were different now. Not angry, not strong. Just tired in a way she had never shown anyone. You know what's funny? She whispered. I fix everyone, but I can't fix the one person I actually cared about. Nathan's chest tightened. You don't have to X him, he said. You just have to exist without losing yourself. Riley shook her head slightly. That's easy for people who've never had to hold everything together. Nathan stayed quiet for a moment. Then he said something he didn't fully understand himself yet. Then let someone hold it with you. Riley let out a slow breath, like she was trying not to believe him. The days after that changed, not dramatically, not like movies, but quietly. Riley started letting Nathan stay longer at the center. She stopped arguing when he helped. She even stopped mocking his expensive clothes as much. And Nathan started noticing something new. Every time she smiled, it wasn't loud or dramatic, it was small, careful, like she wasn't used to letting herself feel it too often. One evening, after practice, they sat on the empty court while the kids had gone home. The sky was turning orange, the city felt quieter. Riley leaned back on her hands. You know, she said, you're not as annoying as I thought you'd be. Nathan smirked. High praise. She glanced at him. Don't get used to it. A pause. Then Nathan asked, do you ever stop? Riley frowned. Stop what? Tacky. NG care of everyone. That made her go silent. A long one. Then she said, if I stop, I think everything falls apart. Nathan looked at her carefully. And if you fall apart? Riley didn't answer, because she didn't have one. And for the first time, Nathan saw it clearly. The strongest person he had ever met was terrified of letting go for even a second. He didn't know what to say, so he did the only thing that felt right. He stayed there beside her, in the quiet, not fixing her, not saving her, just not leaving. The city looked different at night when you stopped rushing through it. Nathan noticed that now. He stood outside the community center long after everyone had left, watching the flickering streetlights and the empty basketball court where laughter still seemed to echo in his mind. Riley was inside, fixing something again. She always was. A broken chair, a loose wire, a leaking tap, as if the world depended on her hands staying busy. Nathan pushed the door open quietly. She didn't look up. You're still here, she said. I didn't feel like leaving. Riley tightened a screw. That's new for you. Nathan leaned against the wall. So is this place for? Or me? That made her pause, not fully stop, just hesitate for half a second. But it was enough. A week later, Nathan received an invitation he couldn't ignore. His company was hosting high-profile gala. Investors, media, elite guests, people who judged success by watches, suits, and table reservations. It was exactly the world Riley hated. Nathan didn't want to go, but he had to. That night, he stood in front of the mirror adjusting his tie when his phone buzzed. Riley, practice running late. Don't disappear. Again, he stared at the message longer than he should have, then replied, I won't, but he wasn't sure if it was true. The gala was everything he remembered. Bright lights, fake smiles, carefully scripted conversations. People congratulated him on success while asking how much higher he could climb. Nathan played his role perfectly, until someone mentioned Riley. She's still in your life? One investor asked, amused. That mechanic girl. The word mechanic was said like an insult. Nathan's jaw tightened. She's not just a mechanic, he said flatly. The man laughed. Come on, Nathan. You can do better than that. Something shifted inside him. In a he didn't know existed. Better? Nathan repeated quietly. The table went silent. He stood up, and for the first time in his entire career, he walked away from the conversation mid-sentence. Riley was still at the center when Nathan arrived later that night. The kids were gone, lights dim, only her silhouette under the weak hallway bulb. She was sitting on the floor, tying tape around a broken finger of one of the practice gloves. You're early, she said without looking up. Nathan shook his head. I left early. That made her finally glance at him. Trouble? He exhaled slowly. Then, unexpectedly, he laughed. Apparently I can do better than you. Riley froze. What? Nathan stepped closer. At least that's what they said. She stood up immediately, expression tightening. And what did you say? Nathan looked at her. For a long moment he didn't answer, because the truth felt heavier than anything he had said in years. Then he finally said it. I left. Riley blinked. You left? What? The life they think I should want. Silence. Even the building felt quieter. Riley studied him like she didn't understand the language he was speaking. You don't walk away from that world, she said slowly. People don't just leave. Nathan nodded. I did. She shook her head slightly. Why? And that was the moment everything stopped being simple. Nathan took a breath, because the answer wasn't about business, or success, or rebellion. It was about her. Because I heard them talk about you like you were something beneath me, he said quietly. Riley's expression tightened, and Nathan stepped closer. And I realized I didn't care about anything they think I should care about. A beat. Then softer. I care about what happens when you stop smiling. Riley looked away immediately, like the words hit somewhere she didn't want them to. For days after that, she avoided him. Not fully, but enough. Short replies, quick exits, less eye contact. Nathan noticed everything, because now he was paying attention in a way he never had before. One afternoon, he finally found her on the rooftop behind the center. Wind strong, city loud below them. Riley was sitting on the edge, knees pulled close. You're avoiding me, Nathan said. I'm busy, she replied. With what? Life. That made him exhale sharply. You think? I regret it, he said. Riley didn't answer immediately. Then quietly. I think people don't throw away empires for someone like me. Nathan stepped closer. That's exactly why I did. That made her finally look at him. Really look. And for the first time, her expression cracked slightly. Not breaking, just shifting. Like something inside her didn't know how to respond. You don't know what you're saying, she whispered. Nathan shook his head. I've never been more sure. The wind picked up between them. Long silence. Heavy, unfinished. Riley stood up abruptly. You don't understand what you're getting into, she said. Nathan didn't move. Then explain it to me. She hesitated, just for a second. But it was enough for him to see it. Fear. Not of him, but what it meant to be chosen, to be needed, to be stayed for. And before she could walk away again, Nathan said something quieter. I'm not asking you to be easy to love. Riley stopped. I'm asking you to let me try. Riley didn't answer that night. She just left. No dramatic exit, no argument, no closure, just footsteps fading down the stairwell while Nathan stood on the rooftop alone, realizing, something uncomfortable. You could change your entire life for someone and still not be sure they'd let you stay. The next morning, Nathan's world wasn't the same. He expected chaos, calls from investors, messages from his board, warnings about damage control. Instead, there was silence. Too much silence. Until his assistant finally called. Sir, the company is reacting. They're saying your resignation wasn't approved. Nathan closed his eyes. I didn't ask for approval. A pause. Then the assistant lowered her voice. And there's something else. They're calling it a scandal. They found out about the community center funding. Nathan didn't react. Let them talk, he said. But when he hung up, he finally understood what Riley meant. You don't walk away from that world without consequences. You just learn what you're willing to lose. At the community center, Riley was already working when he arrived, as if nothing had happened. As if the rooftop conversation never existed, as if she hadn't run away from him. Nathan watched her for a moment before speaking. You heard about me. Riley didn't look up. Everyone's talking about you. Are you going to ask me if I regret it? That made her pause slightly. Then she tightened a bolt. No, she said. That surprised him. Riley finally looked at him. I already know the answer. Nathan frowned. You do? Riley stood up, wiping her hands on her hoodie. People like you don't destroy their entire life for fun, she said quietly. You only do it when something finally feels more real than everything you had. That hit harder than he expected, because she wasn't questioning his decision. She was questioning herself, whether she deserved to be the reason for it. Later that day, something unexpected happened. A group of investors arrived at the center. Not friendly ones. Not curious ones. Cold, calculated, expensive suit energy. Riley saw them first. She immediately stepped in front of the kids. "Can I help you?" she asked sharply. The man in the center smiled. "We're here for Nathan Cole." Nathan stepped out from behind the storage room, and immediately the atmosphere shifted. One of the investors shook his head. "You really did it," he said. "You threw away everything for this?" Riley's jaw tightened. Nathan stepped forward. "Don't talk about her like that." The man sighed. "This isn't personal, Nathan. You're making a mistake." Nathan didn't blink. "I already made my decision." The investor looked at Riley again. "You think this changes anything?" "He'll get bored. They always do." That was the moment Riley snapped. "You don't know anything about him," she said sharply. The man laughed. "And you do?" Silence. Riley froze, because that was the truth she had been avoiding. She didn't know everything about Nathan's world, and she didn't know how long someone like him could stay in hers. The investor stepped closer to Nathan. "Come back," he said lower. "Fix this before it ruins you." Nathan looked at him, then at Riley, and for a moment, everything narrowed down to one choice. Old world, or new truth. He spoke calmly. "I already fixed my life," he said, "by leaving it." The investors left shortly after, but the silence they left behind was heavier than their presence. That night, Riley didn't go home. Nathan found her sitting alone on the court again. Same place, same silence, but something was different this time. She wasn't angry. She wasn't joking. She was scared. Nathan sat beside her. "You're thin." "King too loud," he said softly. Riley let out a breath. "I shouldn't have spoken like that earlier. You defended me. I don't need you to be destroyed because of me," she said quickly. Nathan looked at her. "That's not what happened." Riley shook her head. "It will happen. People like you don't survive long in places like this." Nathan leaned back, staring at the empty court. "You think I came here by accident?" She didn't answer. He continued. "I spent years building a life I didn't recognize myself in," he said. "Money, status, expectations, none of it ever felt like mine." A pause, then softer. "You're the first thing that did." Riley finally looked at him, and this time, she didn't hide the emotion in her eyes quickly enough. "I don't know how to be someone worth that," she whispered. Nathan turned toward her. "You already are," he said simply. Riley shook her head slightly. "That's not something you say to someone like me." Nathan frowned. "Someone like you?" Riley looked away. "People like me don't get chosen," she said quietly. "We get used." The words hung there, heavy, familiar. Nathan's voice dropped. "Then I'll just have to be the first person who doesn't use you for anything." A long silence. Then Riley exhaled slowly, like something inside her was finally tired of running. "I don't know how this ends," she admitted. Nathan nodded. "Neither do I." He paused. "But I know I don't want it to end before it even starts." And for the first time since the rooftop night, Riley didn't walk away. The morning after that conversation, something subtle changed. Not in the world. In them. Riley still showed up early at the community center. Nathan still arrived wearing the same calm expression. But now there were pauses between their words that meant more than the words themselves, and looks that lasted half a second longer than they should have. Neither of them said it out loud, but something had already started becoming irreversible. That peace didn't last long. By afternoon, the first official notice arrived. A legal letter. Nathan's former company had escalated things. Breach of contract allegations. Financial misconduct claims. Public statements designed to damage his credibility. Riley read the headline on Nathan's phone before he could hide it. Her face tightened immediately. "This is what I mean?" "NT," she said quietly. Nathan took the phone back. "It's noise." "This is your life," she corrected. He looked at her. "No," he said. "My life is right here." Riley didn't respond, but her silence wasn't acceptance. It was fear wearing a different face. That night, the tension finally cracked. Riley showed up at Nathan's apartment uninvited. Rain dripping from her hoodie, hair slightly messy, eyes sharper than usual. "You need to stop," she said immediately. Nathan opened the door wider. "Stop what?" "This," she said, stepping inside. "All of it. Me. This place. The center. Everything you're throwing your life away for." Nathan shut the door slowly. "You think I'm throwing it away? I know you are." He exhaled. "Riley," she cut him off. "You don't understand what they'll do to you," she said, voice rising slightly now. They don't forgive people who leave. They destroy them. Nathan stayed calm. I'm not afraid of them. That's not the point, she snapped. Silence hit the room. Heavy. Riley looked away first, and when she spoke again, her voice was quieter. You can survive losing money, status, power. A pause. But I don't think you can survive losing everything because of me. That line changed the air completely. Nathan stepped closer. You think this is because of you? Riley didn't answer, but she didn't need to. It was written all over her. Nathan shook his head slowly. You're not the reason I left, he said. You're the reason I finally saw what I was staying for. Riley's breathing slowed slightly, but the fear didn't leave her eyes. It won't stay simple, she whispered. It never was, he replied. Another pause, then softer. I just didn't notice until you. The next day brought something worse. The media picked it up. Photos of Nathan at the community center. Headlines twisting the story into scandal and failure. Former CEO abandons fortune for mysterious mechanic girl. Riley saw it on a public screen outside a store. She stood frozen. People around her whispered, pointed, judged. She felt it immediately. That old feeling, the one she thought she had outgrown, being seen, but not understood. By evening she wasn't at the center. Nathan searched everywhere. Empty court, closed garage, silent streets, until he finally found her near the river bridge, sitting alone, knees close, wind pushing against her hoodie. Nathan stopped a few steps behind her. You saw it, he said softly. Riley didn't turn. I shouldn't exist in your story like this, she said. Nathan frowned. What does that mean? She finally looked at him, and her voice cracked just slightly. It means I ruin everything I touch. Nathan stepped closer immediately. That's not true. Riley shook her head. You don't see it because you're in it, she said. But everyone else does. They'll drag you down with me until there's nothing left. Nathan's expression hardened. You think I care what they think? Riley stood up suddenly. I care, she said sharply. That startled him. Her voice echoed against the water, then softer, breaking slightly. I care because I don't want to be the reason you lose yourself again. Silence followed. The wind filled it. Nathan stepped closer until there was almost no space left between them. You're not losing me, he said quietly. Riley looked down. Her hands were shaking slightly now. I don't know how to be something that doesn't break people, she whispered. Nathan lifted his hand, gently stopping just before touching her. Then, waited, giving her the choice. Riley hesitated, long enough to feel the weight of everything she had carried alone for years. Then slowly she didn't move away. Nathan finally placed his hand over hers. Warm, steady, real. You don't have to know, he said. We figure it out together. Riley closed her eyes for a moment, and for the first time, she didn't pull away from the fear. She stayed in it. With him. The night felt different after that moment on the bridge. Not because the world changed, but because something inside both of them finally stopped running. Riley didn't let go of his hand. Not immediately. Not even when the wind got colder. And Nathan didn't rush her. For the first time in her life, she wasn't being chased for her strength, or judged for her weakness. She was simply being held in between both. The days that followed weren't easy. The headlines didn't disappear. The pressure didn't reduce. Nathan's name still circulated in boardrooms like a warning, and Riley still felt the weight of every stranger's glance when she walked outside. But something had shifted now. They didn't face it alone. Nathan showed up at the center every morning. Not as a CEO, but as someone repainting walls with kids laughing at his terrible technique. Riley still fixed bikes, still trained kids, still pretended she didn't notice when Nathan stayed a little longer just to make sure everyone got home safe. But now, sometimes, she looked at him when he wasn't watching, like she was trying to understand how someone stayed and didn't leave. One evening, the storm finally hit. Not emotional, real. Heavy rain, wind slamming against windows, power flickering across the city. The community center was flooded in the lower storage room. Kids had already gone home. Only Riley and Nathan remained. Water rising fast, boxes collapsing. Riley was knee-deep in cold water, trying to save equipment. Nathan grabbed her arm. "We need to go," he said urgently. "No," she snapped. "The supplies, Riley. It's not worth risking yourself." She pulled away. "It is when these kids have nothing else." That was the first time Nathan saw it clearly. This wasn't just responsibility for her. It was identity. If she stopped saving things, she didn't know who she would be. He stepped into the water beside her without hesitation. Then we do it too. Together, he said. Riley looked at him sharply. You don't have to, I already did. Nathan interrupted, and that was it. No more argument, just movement. Together, dragging boxes, climbing shelves, fighting against water and time and exhaustion, until finally they collapsed outside under the pouring rain, breathing hard, soaked, alive. Riley laughed suddenly, a real laugh, then another. Nathan looked at her, confused at first. What? She shook her head, still laughing through exhaustion. We look ridiculous, he exhaled, then smiled. Yeah, he agreed. We do. And somehow that made her laugh harder. Later that night, they sat inside the empty community hall. Rain still falling outside. Everything quiet again. Riley leaned her head against the wall. I used to think being needed meant being alone all the time, she said softly. Nathan looked at her. And now, she hesitated, then turned slightly toward him. Now I think I was just scared no one would stay if I stopped being useful. Silence. Nathan didn't answer immediately. He just shifted closer. You don't have to earn me staying, he said quietly. Riley studied him for a long moment, like she was looking for the catch. The condition, the exit, but there wasn't one, only him. Still here, she exhaled slowly. You really didn't leave, she whispered. Nathan shook his head. I told you I wouldn't. A pause, then softer. And I meant it. Months passed. The world stopped calling it a scandal. It started calling it a choice. Nathan never returned to the life that once defined him. Riley never stopped being exactly who she was. But something new existed between them now. Not loud, not perfect, but steady. Built in small moments no one else saw. Fixing broken things. Sharing silence. Showing up when it mattered. And one evening, as the sun dipped behind the city and the basketball court filled with children's laughter again, Riley glanced at Nathan. You know, she said lightly. You really messed up your life. Nathan smiled. Yeah? She nodded. For someone who seems kind of happy now. He looked at her then, not at the world, not at the past, just her. Yeah, he said softly. Kind of happy. And for the first time, neither of them felt like they were becoming something else. Just two people who somehow found the place where Hay didn't have to run anymore.